Yes, yes, yeah. You are tuned in to Offering Something. I am your host, Michael Bernier, feeling so good to be alive. That is for sure. Big love and thanks to our super sweet sponsors at Enjoy Your Life brand, Rockport Brewing Company, and New Balance. And you know we love y'all for tuning into the show. That is for certain. We have some beautiful humans in the room with us today. Yeah. To my left-hand side, Jim Bien of the Veterans Northeast Outreach Center.
Hey, how are we doing tonight?
So good.
Yeah.
So good.
This is awesome. So.
Yeah, you are awesome. We're going to get way into your greatness. All the way over there on the left side, Scott Winters of CNA Stores. Hi, Scott.
Nice to see you as always.
Yeah.
Nice to be in your place. As
hey, you look great. And right here, closest to me, my good brother, Eli Balin.
Awesome to be here.
Yeah.
It's an exciting show.
Let's go. So, Jim Bien, Veterans Northeast Outreach Center, and you're in Haverhill, Massachusetts. Is that reality?
Yeah, Mike. So our offices are located at 10 Reed Street in Haverhill, off of downtown. Not probably the most amazing section of Haverhill that a lot of people want, but we're in a retired Catholic
reality.
Church. It is reality.
Yeah.
We work with low-income and homeless veterans and their families throughout the greater Merrimack Valley. Basically, a veteran anywhere, if they get a hold of us, call. If I can't offer you services right then and there to help you get situated, we have people from out of state call all the time. I got a guy in South Carolina called me the other day, like, hey, I'm homeless, living in my car. The car died. I was like, if you want to come to Massachusetts, we can get you up here. Or if not, I've reached out to...
But is it really, hold on, is that easy? Like somebody can just call you up and they're like, I'm a at-risk, low-income veteran. Those are the qualifications that are necessary here?
So,
okay, so I'm an at-risk, low-income veteran, have nothing, I need a place to stay. How long from that phone call, let's say that they are in Haverhill.
So
they're near where you are. How long from then until you have them in a better situation, and what is that situation?
Oftentimes, a lot of times for any veteran that's going through the instability of that, their better situation starts with somebody answering that phone call. So we call, you can call anytime, day or night. Our phone numbers, our website's VNOCforvets.org, or if you just Google VNOC, VNEOC. We've been around since 1985 in the greater Merrimack Valley, started in Lawrence and been in Haverhill since 96.
Right.
So you literally call and you get somebody that's dedicated. I mean, we're a small nonprofit. We have less than 31, or we have 31 employees actually right now. And you call, the phone number goes to our intake coordinator, Chris. He has this awesome lady that works with him, Kirsten. That's actually Scott's better half.
Oh, gosh.
So
much.
I see what's
much
going
better
on here.
So much better half.
Kirsten
I'll agree.
Works as our intake specialist. So every veteran that comes in and they're like, hey, we need your DD-214 or your record saying that you served. It's a requirement. If not, we'll help you get it. We have a great relationship with the National Archives down in St. Louis. So give us your name, your social, where you enlisted from, and we'll get your records for you.
And is that process a couple minutes, or is this days?
So the requesting, the westing is a couple minutes, and then depending on the situation, if it's emergent, we can get records in 3 to 5 days, where even 2 years ago that took up to a month.
So what happens on those 3 to 5 days? They remain in the same situation they were in? Is there some sort of purgatorial program we're providing?
It depends on how severe their situation is. There are programs. We have great relationships with other organizations as well, as far as homeless shelters go. I've got a veteran right now that we're putting up in a hotel until we have an open room in one of our buildings on November 1st.
Right, because you actually 100% believe that this person needs the help.
Yes, absolutely. This guy was living on a mat, didn't even have a tent. He didn't have a sleeping bag. He didn't have a car. Like, this guy is living in at risk. So we'll take somebody no matter where you are. And the guy in South Carolina that called me, I was like, do you want to come to Massachusetts? He's like, no, I literally Googled veteran services and you guys showed up.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, all right, so where in South Carolina are you? He told me where he was. It's happened to be a military town. So I was like, all right, let me make a couple of phone calls. I called down to the VA in Columbia, South Carolina.
Yeah.
I reached out to somebody that works for a program that's called VASH, which is VA Subsidized Housing. So it's like Section 8, but for veterans. And I was like, look, I've got this vet. He's living in his car. Car's dead. He's going to need money to help fix his car, but he's also going to need an apartment. This was last week. I just found out he was accepted into the program over the weekend, and he's apartment hunting. And if he does the legwork, because it's not we're doing all the work, the veterans have to be.
They have to put some effort
you have to
into
put your
it.
effort into it. And this guy could be housed by the end of the month, like permanently.
Now, I assume that there's a lot of people that you're dealing with that are suffering with addiction problems also.
Yep.
So they're not going to be out there going to find a place to live and having a vehicle and these types of things. Like, what are we doing to assist these types of people?
That is we get our veterans, if they're eligible for VA medical care, which we have a healthcare navigator that works with us, Jackie.
Yep.
She goes, make sure that if they're eligible for Mass Health, if they're eligible for the VA down at Brockton VA Hospital has one of the best detox wards anywhere in the eastern part of the country. And they do everything from like a 7-day program to a full 28-day program. They'll push people if they're self-treating as a result of mental health that was occurred by deployments to Iraq, Afghanistan, things like that. There are some great facilities actually down in San Antonio, Texas that we refer people to. So we're there to help take care of vets.
To assist along the way. How do you determine if the person is in that situation and they're not telling you, I got this drug problem also?
Experience has a lot of our lived experience. I mean, I'm a veteran. I started as a member I was a client of VNOC when I medically retired back in 2014.
Yep.
I went to live in Little Rock, Arkansas for a couple months because I had a cardiac issue. The hospital that was recommended was in Little Rock, Arkansas, which surprised me being from, I was like, why am I not going to Boston? And I got the, hey, we can't help you with your medical stuff. So I was like, what do I do? And I, at the time, Googled the same idea, Veteran Services in Massachusetts, and VNOC showed up, and they're like, yeah, let us figure it out. We'll give you a call back. Next day, my phone rings, and like, all right, we can have a moving company out to you in 4 days to pack all your stuff up. We'll give you an apartment rent-free for a year. We'll help you get situated as far as like housing, job, whatever. I was like, well, I want to go to school. So they're like, all right, that's fine. We'll put you in touch with, so I went to Salem State for social work. And then they're like, hey, if you want, you can have a job. And I got a job helping veterans find housing as a case manager while I was going to school for social work. So it's like, this is one-stop thing. And that's why and
you have firsthand experience in the
like,
fact that it is effective. And,
as people say, it takes a fucked up vet to help a fucked up vet. Because I'm not sympathetic, but I'm empathetic.
I didn't know they were saying that, but I can see that is being said.
It's not something for work. It's literally,
I never heard it before either.
So we're there literally to help one another because we understand what it's like to be in their shoes.
Yeah.
We've had people that have worked for VNOC in the years past that, there's a guy that's been there for 12 years, and he's the same situation. He was started off low helping clean and stuff like that. He's a maintenance director. He's running everything with all of our facilities. We have housing in Haverhill, Newburyport. We have a place here.
He's super kind too, man. He's one of my favorite people.
Oh yeah, he's awesome.
I really like him.
Alex is great.
Got the coziest office in the building.
He does, so it's nice for him. He's upstairs. He's located right there in the center of the hub of our offices because if something's going on, everyone's like, oh yeah, let me check with Alex because it doesn't run without having that boots on the ground type mentality. And Alex has that. So it doesn't matter if he's running our food pantry that we do every Thursday for local
Does Alex have a last name since we're giving him so much love?
Alex Reynoso.
Hello, Alex Reynoso.
So
you must be amazing.
He is.
He really is.
So, you want to come by sometime and walk through whatnot?
Where's Alex?
He worked for us for a little while, actually.
Yeah, Alex Reynoso,
He worked for CNA for a while.
Wow. There's a lot of this going on here.
Yeah, we have a very symbiotic relationship.
We take care of one another. People in need are helping each other out. That's what it's about.
So let's delve into this here. How are you at the Veterans Northeast Outreach Center associated with Scott Winters of the CNA stores?
So we double up, like I said. Kirsten, Scott's other half, she works as our intake specialist. So she used to work for CNA, and we started a relationship with
VNOC's the best job she's ever
CNA.
had.
And she was like, I want to be able to help veterans hands-on. And that's what she does. Every veteran that comes through and makes that phone call, walks in the door, the first person that they get to talk to, sit down to get their information collected is with Kirsten to find out what benefits they need. Yeah. Not just always what benefits you want, but what benefits you eligible, because depending on what you have, different thing.
Hey, Dale. Yeah.
So Kirsten was with Scott, but then CNA has their president, CEO, Rob DeFazio, is a Navy vet.
Yeah.
So Rob, having his thing, wants to give back to vets. It's not correct me if I'm wrong, but it's not a requirement in Massachusetts for cannabis industry to give back to charities.
It is.
But it is.
It is.
We're one of the chosen charities because
You're a bit more than you're a bit.
We're part of the family.
So let me clarify this. So we are obligated. Every cannabis company writes into their HCA that you do $25,000 in monetary contributions per year to a local charity.
Yeah.
And you do 100 community service hours,
which we get all the time. I mean,
so we don't have to do it. So that's for our company. So we're at 700 community service hours for this year, and we're at 250,000. We've only been open for
just going above and beyond.
Oh, yeah.
We're veteran-owned, veteran-led. That's
I'm rewinding us a little bit here. So the relationship between the two here, are we encouraging or seeing positive benefits from veterans using cannabis? Is that a part of this?
I highly, highly recommend it. So I'm a veteran. I'm a veteran with terminal lung cancer.
Okay.
And one of the things is me.
You said terminal lung cancer.
Terminal lung cancer. So I have cancer in 4 parts of my body as of right now, but it's terminal. So I use gummies to help alleviate the stress on the muscles around my lungs, so it makes breathing easy, makes sleeping easy. So like my high is not like I just need euphoria. I just need my body to use the cannabinoid receptors that are naturally a part of it to relax, to help basically tell the rest of my body to like slow the fuck down and just ease up.
Wow.
So that's what it is.
My body's been telling you to slow the fuck down since the day I met you.
It has. Your body, your voice. I mean, that's the thing. So I'm always go. I take the most of every moment I get to help veterans everywhere, anywhere. I'm a very family oriented. I have 3 kids from 17. My daughter will be 17 this Sunday to a 2.5-year-old that Scott would like kidnap in a heartbeat because she's amazing.
Whoa, no.
Oh, absolutely.
That type of stuff is not funny.
Kidnap to babysit.
I'm a drummer.
Like, take her
I'm a drummer with a fog machine and disco lights. I want nothing
which all
to
babies
do with
love.
Yeah.
Your kids will be into
you throw
that.
A bus in there and she's done.
No.
So,
I don't want anybody's children.
Yeah, we have built the relationship where the VA 2 years ago relaxed their standards as far as cannabis use goes for veterans. As long as you're not prescribed opioids by the VA, you can use cannabis products. Most of the different states around the country have medical marijuana. Yep. You got states like Massachusetts where it's legalized recreationally.
37 plus states that have some form of a cannabis.
37 plus. What does that mean? Like maybe it's 38.
I quit counting when we opened business.
Counting at 37. We could be at 48.
On Massachusetts. You guys do what you got to do.
37
right?
plus.
But then there are studies that are being done nationally with veterans to see the impact of cannabis use, whether flower, just gummies, topicals, just to make sure, see how it interacts with you, because you have so many veterans that, like you're talking about the veterans in need from addiction issues, whether it's alcohol, drugs, they're self-medicating 90% of the time,
of course,
to try to take care of themselves because they're not getting the care depending on where they are. The VA is a very fluid system around the country. You'll go to some parts of the country where it's horrible, and you'll go to other parts of the country where it's absolutely amazing.
I was just say
right.
Yeah. So the fluid part is it rotates. So they'll take like a guy who's been really good in, say, Brattleboro, Vermont, and move him to West Roxbury or another part as a director to help bring their standards up to what they were there. And then as a kind of side effect, that first community kind of dips a little bit, but there's just this revolving part of the country where that's why I say it's fluid. It's not really the spottiness of it. It's the fact that you'll follow good people. And you have that in any industry. It's just where are people putting their ideas into action to truly help those that are in need, whether it's healthcare, mental health. The VA is itself is its own animal because you have a huge conflux of everything from the physical disables from people that are injured in wartime, whether prosthetics or just that, but then the unseen injuries of the mental health side that comes with it that you don't always see in one type of medical facility in other parts of the country in the civilian world. So we definitely agree and promote the cannabis if it's the right thing. It's not, you're using it responsibly. You're not using it as another drug to get away from
guys, let's get all high.
I mean, you'll come across people that'll lace their products with other stuff because they're just kind of like dipping. They want the euphoric aspect, but then they need something heavier.
So it's clear
you can get that from cannabis. I think, though. Yeah.
So
it's clear that the Veterans Northeast Outreach Center is having a direct positive impact. You're sharing these stories of occurrences. But I assume that it can't all be this lovely, that there are times where you can't help for one reason or another, that there's these challenging things that are going on amidst us the whole time. So what are the things that, like, let's say there is a person that you know needs help and you know that you can provide it, but this is stopping it? What are those things?
A lot of the time, the number one roadblock that you come in helping a veteran is the veteran themselves. And having to have somebody that you have people that are entitled. Hey, I served, I did this. And a lot of the times it's not like, I mean, I'm 40. I'm the Iraq, Afghanistan generation. We have that like in between from the early 90s, late 80s where they didn't deploy.
You were in Iraq and Afghanistan?
Yeah.
Like holding guns?
Yeah.
Okay, that's as far as I'll go on that.
Jeez. So, but you've got people that they kind of have like the entitlement of like, hey, I served, because in the country here, especially after 9/11 happened, you got a lot of that pro-America and unity, and then taking care of veterans or more spotlight on veterans and military services and issues, where that's kind of like dissipated over the last couple of years.
Oh, not enough wars to make it like a trending thing.
That's
where,
the thing.
like, truthfully, the fundraisers are more effective.
We don't have to have a war to be able to support these people, and that's the thing that's horrible, because if the political aspect is like you can't make money off a peace. Is kind of like the shit side of it. So,
and then you create more trauma.
Yeah, you do, and it happens, or you stop funding one person and you give money somewhere else, and then look at this past week where like Iran was funding Hezbollah and Hamas at the same time when they attacked Israel, like on the 50th anniversary of the last time that they had a like actual dedicated war. And how do you go 50 years with having some form of peace, and then all of a sudden one day this guy's like, no, you know what, you're going to get them back because you deserve that. And it's just
I don't know anything about it.
So
yeah, well, and I think let's bring it back to the U.S. policy and where U.S.
Scott's world,
where our money's spent, right? So fluid is I like that a lot, and I believe that I say spotty because I've lived spotty, and so I hear different stories in different places. I love that explanation of that. We could use to spend a lot more money on the folks after they come home.
Oh, absolutely.
The trauma that our policies, as well as how we sell them, in a lot of cases, contribute to the trauma in a massive, massive way. And it's irresponsible as a populace to not look out after that.
Oh, absolutely. 100% agree with that.
And so that but what I will say, all that aside, is that the veteran network is fucking amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So when they can't do something at VNOC, Kirsten gets on the phone and starts calling VSOs, people in other communities that have the connection network in that network.
So you're saying that no matter what, everything gets resolved. You're saying the first hurdle is the veteran.
The first hurdle is definitely the veteran.
What are the paperwork things that get involved? Like, okay, this person's ready to do this now, but this is definitely not happening. How do I break it to them?
We've got people that their past history. So you have some people that, you go to your example, substance abuse issues, people with law issue or legal issues, stuff like that.
Felons?
We'll still work with felons, stuff like that. Like it's not a no. The thing is if we're trying to find you housing and you're trying to go to city housing in, say, Lawrence, and they require a background check for you to be able to go, they can be like, look, we can't. So we have to find the tough fit of like, all right, so this landlord, they're pro-veteran, they don't care what your background is because you're turned around. You've shown that you've rehabilitated and you're trying to get yourself back on your feet and be an active member of society. That's all they care about. Okay. So they don't look at your past, they look at your future and want to be a part of it.
Looking forward, good people.
So
and they need to keep those people up. I have friends that work in that space. There, my friend's kid grew up and he works in a place out in the western part of the state that houses felons, and they can't get a job. They can't work. It's a death sentence.
It is. It absolutely is. And that's a lot of that is past trauma to how civilization viewed those individuals. Just because you've faulted in the past doesn't mean you're currently and always going to fault.
You
so we
can't
have
find
to give
a
those
place
people
to
those.
live, and you can't find a job to pay for the place to live. You are shunned right out of existence, and yet you're still left to do what? And I think, again, it always, to me, goes back to being responsible for the policies that create these things, whether it's homelessness, providing mental health there, and of course funding for what we deal with what you deal with at VNOC every single day. That's VNOC's struggle always, is the funding.
Oh, absolutely.
And if we had, aircraft carrier money,
$18 billion for the newest one.
Massachusetts would be covered for the rest of its days.
Yeah.
Let's touch on, where do the dollars come from?
So we are, I want to say, like 97% VA funded, where we have a program. The primary program that we operate is SSVF, or Subsidized Services for Veterans and Families, is the acronym for it.
Right, gotcha.
So that's a lot of our funding. Everything from, like, my job as an outreach coordinator to our case managers that work one-on-one with the veterans that are in need, making sure they're following up with their appointments, making sure, like, if they need to get to talk to a landlord or a housing authority somewhere.
Wait.
Yeah.
Are you saying my girlfriend's a Fed?
Yeah, pretty much,
but
buddy.
her job
Cameras
is paid
on.
For, so, yes. So,
Dale's a Fed.
Dale is post office, yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they're sort of federalized, sort of not. So, they still take the holidays off, but sometimes you get your mail.
My sax player is a visa guy. He gives out visas in Dover. I shouldn't say. I'm not gonna say it because he. Never mind. I'm not gonna say anymore.
Dial it in now.
Yeah, I know where the visa center is. Yeah. So, our funding primarily comes from the VA. Now we have other things. So you asked, like, our connection with CNA. CNA had chosen VNOC for their sponsors.
That's
or
so
to
sweet.
give their money
Isn't
to
that lovely?
that they're required, but they go so much further than that.
So we approached VNOC, and I'm going to be real.
Talk into the microphone. Move it over towards your face.
I'm sorry. I'm going to be real.
We only expect you to be real. If you're going to be fake, I'm not really sure I
never
understand
came
that.
through the screen. I get it.
Through the screen.
we opened it when we came in, but okay.
You get my point. God.
Hardly.
English is my second language. Not really. We approached VNOC when we were first getting started, and we approached VNOC with $25,000 a year for 5 years. This is pre-pandemic. And we didn't approach VNOC right off the bat. We had 7 different organizations, and we approached these groups to hire vets. We weren't looking for a charitable thing. We were looking for vets to work for us.
Work at CNA stores in Amesbury and Haverhill, Massachusetts. Yeah.
Work at CNA. And we
Is it strictly every employee at CNA stores is?
No, definitely not.
No,
You
20%.
get that when you walk in.
20% of us are vets. 20%.
Okay.
The rest, the 80% is not. We all pitch in on the community service hours and talk about all those good things. But what was I saying?
I don't know.
So you were saying that you approached 7.
Oh yeah,
yeah, it's 7.
So thank you, man.
Yeah.
One of
It's good
us
to have
knows.
it's good to have the non-smoker in the room. We had all these VSOs at our conference table, and
Veteran service officers. So every town in the
VSO.
state of Massachusetts has a person that is a veteran service officer. They are responsible to the veterans of those community to help them find benefits. A lot of the time is reaching out to organizations like us. There are several others in the state that do the same thing.
VSOs.
Veteran Service Officers.
Yeah.
So, so the VSO, so like Newburyport's is Jeremiah, and he's in Amesbury. He covers Amesbury,
Actually,
Merrimack, Salisbury.
I think yes,
And Newburyport, because Newbury is different than Newburyport.
just as Newbury.
So we're in Newburyport. So that's Jeremiah. He is one guy with Rich Yardy who works for him, and
Hunt.
he has another woman.
Hunt works with him.
Yep,
as
Hunt
well.
works for him as well. And just they cover 4 towns. And there's a surprising amount of veterans in this area that, like, it's not posted everywhere. Everyone doesn't make themselves noticeable that they are a vet.
But each one of them made themselves noticeable at our conference table who was pro-cannabis and who wasn't. And all the VSOs that I'm going to say around the table, from Lawrence to Newburyport, were like, we've had conversations how to make hash.
Yeah.
But the one person that was not was a gentleman by the name of John Ford, who worked for VNOC, and he was very skeptical. And I have a tendency to to talk directly to that person to answer the questions, right? And so I have a piece of art in my office from John Ford. We have 2 hanging in our office now. We became friends, and the pandemic hit, and we were going to start an endowment. I had my sax player is at Morgan Stanley in Portsmouth. They were going to manage the endowment. We were doing $25,000 a year. There was a big car group that was doing $25,000 a year. There was restaurant groups that were doing $25,000 a year, and we were just going to keep building all these businesses to dedicate themselves to $25,000 all the way down to $5,000 a year to build up this endowment. So it's non-grant related. You can pull the money, just the interest rate every 5 years, the interest out of it, and still have that $5 million growing. That was the plan. And then we went through a worldwide pandemic, and the restaurant groups pulled out. The car groups pulled out, and we brought it in, and so our customers have done about $40,000 a year to VNOC. CNA stores we're probably, I'll say, just to be on the safe side, $180K. My CEO is now part of
vice president on our board of directors.
My CFO is also on the board of directors. I've been giving a strict mandate 6 months ago to help you anytime you need. Every time April calls me, she's like, "I'm really sorry for bothering you." I'm like, "You have my boss. I have to take this call."
Yeah, when I came on board as outreach coordinator back in April, literally my second day, I can't even think of the restaurant names where we met at.
Sky High.
Sky High, yeah. So came in Sky High, and I walk in, and there's Scott, and he's like, "Man, did you see that red thing across the street?" And I was like, "The red thing?" He's like, "Yeah, that like crazy car thing." I was like, "Yeah, that's my Polaris slingshot." And started talking.
What is it?
Wait, I didn't say that.
Yes, you did.
Was I going to start trash talking to Polaris?
I don't think you were.
What
You
is
just
it?
thought
A
was cool.
slingshot?
Yeah.
So it's a.
What is that?
It's a 3-wheel.
It's a
Yeah, yeah, I've
3-wheeler,
seen
car
those.
in the front,
Yeah.
motorcycle in the back. It's actually parked out in front of the studio.
It looks
Is
like
it?
Yeah.
You're familiar with this?
It looks
I know
like a
it's slingshot.
F1
I've seen him.
racer.
You've seen him around every now and then. You
Yeah.
see him one park, be like, "What's that thing?"
Yeah, there's
'Cause
not
it's
a
like,
lot of them, but
they're street legal, right?
Yeah, they're
but they're smaller.
It's a
they're
Hayabusa
autos,
motor.
they're-
Yeah.
No, it's actually a Chevy EcoTech 2.4 turbo motor. So it's the same motor that they put in Chevy Cobalt SS's. Like
How
back
fast
in
does
the
this
2000
slingshot go?
Electronically governed, stock to 130 with 173 horses. But I've got a buddy of mine. He did a LS1 swap out of a Chevy Camaro into it.
What is
Dude,
this
it's
guy talking about,
Three
Dale?
wheels.
3 wheels.
Yeah, so 2 wheels in the front looks like a car, but it's driven by a single
You have to have
wide
a
fat
helmet.
tire. Have to have them only in Massachusetts and New Jersey. Every other state, you don't need a helmet. So including the great state of New Hampshire that I reside in. So as soon as I hit the border, my helmet's off.
Hold on.
Yeah, it's a motorcycle. It's registered.
Does it have
as
a
motorcycle.
windshield?
It's got a windshield.
Yeah, it's like this big.
So yeah, I'll take you
You
for
wear a
ride in it.
helmet?
You have to have sunglasses.
So-
You can take me
so
for a
you're-
look at it.
Yeah. So
It looks like a Formula One racer. That's
the
what
front,
they look like.
The front of it looks like a sports car. You're low to the ground. But so I used to have a Harley and a bike, and so I have Tank as a service dog. He was not able to do his alerting because your primary pheromones for your heart come out your left ankle. So if I'm riding and had him in a sidecar, he's not going to be able to smell it. So it was like,
All right, let's talk about Tank's connection to your
yeah.
life here. There's been a dog on the floor the whole time and walking around. I'm sure you've noticed this. So what's up with Tank?
So Tank is a
Yeah,
cardiac
buddy.
alert service dog for me. Pheromone-based alert prior to tachycardia or cardiac arrest. I have a genetic heart condition that I didn't find out until after I'd been in the military for a few years. And
Yeah.
so my heart is larger than it's supposed to be because of this genetic disorder called dilated cardiomyopathy. So Tank's job is to tell me before I go tachycardic, which is a fast increased heart rate, or cardiac arrest, so I can take different forms of medications to slow it down and avoid going into cardiac arrest and my heart just stopping. So Tank, literally, he's 8.5 as of October 5th. He's been with me for 7.5 years, fully trained for cardiac alert, goes everywhere I go. He went to school with me, he goes to work with me. He's actually the outreach supervisor at VNOC. So I'm the outreach coordinator. I have outreach specialists that report, so technically Tank's their boss.
I don't even work for VNOC, and technically Tank is my boss.
Yeah. So he always answers Tank's calls. Yeah. So Tank goes everywhere with me. Events. It's a great thing too, is because I'm all about education, whether it's veterans in need for mental health, veterans in need that, like, I've had vets, especially like you talk about like the veterans of Canada. So I'm like, look, have you tried looking into this? Because it's not a heavy pharmaceutical that's going to be something that's going to put you on your ass. You actually still have your life back.
You can always send those folks if you
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the thing. I've brought people down to CNA to be like, look, if you need a quick education, that you're going to get it from them because the bud tenders at CNA are actually like legitimately qualified to be like, look, you're looking for this aspect or not. So
back to Tank. What's your question on Tank?
Well, what I was curious about, because what his job is in terms of like checking out on your that your heart rate doesn't go too high. Does that mean you personally actually can't exercise too much? Like you need to keep a kind of a slower heartbeat?
I went from like, I've run marathons in my lifetime while I was in the military. I mean, I'm at 6'4", like 218 pounds or something like that when I was at the hospital doctor appointment last week. But like before my heart issue, I was 185 pounds at 6'4" and ran and did all this workout and stuff like that. Like, I kept my paramedic certification up after I got out of the military because my wife plays rugby, so I would be the team medic. So the fastest I will run is if somebody is hurt or bleeding, and then Tank will check to make sure that I'm not going to drop dead after that fact. I will take care of that person, and then my ass is going to sit there while that person gets up or gets brought and taken by paramedics to a hospital or something. So
it depends on what other woman is around.
Wait, so you can't run?
I can't, no, not to like the fact that I used to run, no. Like, my body just won't tolerate it.
How does Tank notify you that there's a situation going on?
So the pheromone-based alert, he's trained that if it's tachycardia, the increased heart rate, he comes over and puts all his weight in my left leg. I take a pill as a result of that, which slows down my heart rate.
Puts all his weight on your left leg.
Left leg is,
ultimately, there's a scent in the air.
So the pheromone variant it's two or variations of the same pheromone. So he smells like us, the difference like lemons and grapefruits.
Yeah.
We know they're citrusy, but we definitely can distinct the two.
Yeah.
So he does that. The weight into the leg is take the pill, and then cardiac arrest, which thankfully is not as common as the tachycardia. He comes over and nudges my right thigh. It's an injection that I carry around with him or with me.
So if Tank nudges you on the right thigh, you're definitely doing that. Yeah,
I'm close to the tachycardia or the cardiac arrest.
So you're immediately taking the shot.
So I'm doing that, and then my smartwatch goes to my medical team down at Brigham Women's, so they are reading my heart rate as well. And the screwed up thing is Tank is like 15 to 45 minutes prior. So he's quicker than my watch is because he can smell the pheromone. You think about, like, if we were all to work out in the same area, we're all going to smell differently because of our pheromones.
Yeah.
So when he's alerting to that, your body's not even to the full point of where it's the hardest hit. So he's like, all right, you're starting to do stupid shit. Stop. Yeah. And then take a pill, slow yourself down, and then wait, watch, make sure that it's actually coming down. If not, take another pill. But then always check in with the cardiology team down in Boston and make sure that I'm going and doing what I'm supposed to do. And then half the time they'll get a report on my watch that gets sent to them through my phone, and they're like, hey, what's going on? I'm like, all right, so Tank's already alerted. I've already taken this medication. I'm coming down, like slowing as I'm supposed to be doing. Or they're like, all right, you need to get checked out. We can track your location because of your watch. So you're here, sit there, paramedics will be there. So I've had the full gamut.
Love Tank.
Yeah, I do too. I wouldn't be here without him.
And I'm even curious to know like how you get a dog like Tank that's already trained in some form, right? Like, so, where's he come from?
So there are different organizations. There's some in Massachusetts, Needs out of Sterling, Mass. There's Canine Partners for Life out of Pennsylvania. There's a network of
one in Salem, New Hampshire. Oh my God!
Which one? Yeah, there's a couple up there.
We've done support with them, and I'm really sorry.
There's Hero Pups. There's Operation Delta Dog.
Operation Delta Dog.
Operation Delta Dog.
Thank God. That's Donnie Jarvis.
You forget that name. That's such a cool name. Operation Delta Dog.
Donnie Jarvis is a
Donnie Jarvis.
So Donnie Jarvis is
he's part of that network I was talking about. He just he will drop everything at 9 p.m. to help a complete stranger.
Yep.
And he will think nothing
Donnie, you're a good guy.
Yeah. That's the veteran organization. It's
I know Donnie.
It's magical, man. These people are just
we're just brothers and sisters of different people. So Donnie has a dog.
Hold on, does Tank get to sleep?
Yeah, Tank sleeps. He's got his own bed and everything else like that. He's got his own room. So he sleeps.
And what's the distance that needs to be maintained here in order for Tank to accurately determine if you're having a situation?
They'll say like anywhere than 300 feet without a closed off door. The main thing is like Tank's bedroom is, I don't know, 60 feet away from mine, but sleep with the doors open.
Tank's got his own bedroom?
Tank's got his own bedroom. He's got a twin-size bed. He's comfy.
That's awesome.
It's memory foam. Look, he takes care of me. I take care of him.
Hey, man,
you know,
I would
have been dead years ago without Tank. I mean,
so how many times do you feel that Tank has?
I stopped counting after like the first 9 months. Like
Really?
He knows.
So the main thing is I've gone to cardiac arrest twice in the 8 years that I've had Tank, and it's because medication didn't work in time, not because he missed. Tank has never missed. So
Tank's a legend.
Now, this might be a wicked stupid question,
Oh,
but
no,
is there a correlation? Because you did mention earlier about having terminal lung cancer. Is that a complete separate thing?
No, that's separate. So the cardiac stuff I found out October 12th of 2013 was when I took a PT test and I dropped dead after my run. I found out I had a heart issue. I had no idea beforehand. I was active duty. So
You dropped dead after a run.
Yeah,
Where were you?
North Carolina.
You're in
So,
North
yeah, I was in
Carolina.
North Carolina.
You finished the run.
Yep. So finish the run. After you run, you go into what's called a cool down circle, which is literally you walk in a circle hydrating so your body and your temperature will cool down. Your heart rate will slow down. Well, when my heart rate dropped, it just plummeted out. So thankfully, the same time I was taking the PT test, the base hospital was there taking their PT test.
Okay.
Mind you, this is
gotcha.
like
So
5
you were
o'clock
in
in the morning.
the
I was
right
the right
environment
place,
for
right
this to
time.
happen.
Like this is like, yeah.
Okay.
So that's what I've been dealing with, and it's a genetic disorder where it's a delayed mutation of a gene, and it's tracked to my father's side of the family. There's been 14 people that have been diagnosed. We found over the years. Currently, there's only myself and my cousin Jackie. She lives down in Rhode Island. That out of those 14 people that are left alive, my cousin Meg passed away almost a year ago now. It'll be a year next month. But she was active duty in the Army. When she found out about her, she went through an actual transplant that failed, rejected after 4 months, to a artificial heart for 5 years, and then she got a second transplant, and then she lived, I think,
She had
11
a
years.
heart transplant.
Artificial heart,
Was
and
it through
then
Abiomed by any chance?
I don't know what it was, but so she had
That's
because she had a backpack that she had to wear everywhere she went for the battery for her artificial heart. So she'd have to change that stuff out. So talk about adjusting your lifestyle where you're active duty in
Hold
the
on.
military. Yeah.
her heart is running on a battery. That's
Yeah.
where.
Yeah, artificial hearts, they don't have your
not even running on a battery. It's an artificial heart.
Yeah,
I've seen
it's
it.
not your neurologic system
Yeah.
that is running it like we do normally. So she had a battery, she'd walk around everywhere with a backpack, but she did Tai Chi to help her find her center and keep her calm, and that was her own way for keeping her health or mental health, especially dealing with this. How do you feel? I mean, you can't ask. I mean, it's one of the things is how somebody's going to react, and especially mentally when they're told look, you can't do this. Your body's going to shut down. I mean, even when I first was diagnosed, I went through 33 days of just absolute shit, depressive. How can I get through this? And then
How old were you?
I was 29.
Yeah, that's tough.
So I was 29 years old when I was diagnosed, and I was still active duty. And they're like, look, we're going to have to figure out what to do with you for the time frame. I ended up being medically retired. And but I ran into some buddies that my cardiac meds I couldn't even get at the base hospital because they weren't carried in the formulary. So I had to go to Walmart in North Carolina.
That's Walmart.
Go to Walmart because they could get the meds that I needed.
Have you heard of a place called Walmart?
Yeah. So we go, and I see my buddies there. And I
It'll
was like, guys, what are
save
you
your
doing?
heart.
We're going and grab groceries. We're going to go jump and then have a barbecue out of the jump zone. And I was like,
Okay,
cool. And I
can't
saw them
jump.
out in the parking lot. And they parked, their truck was next to mine. I was like, fuck it, you got room for one more? They're like, hell yeah, let's go. And that was it. I have not, my mentality has been go, go, go since.
Yeah.
And just helping others. So I have a job title of being outreach coordinator. My wife will tell you my job title in life is I'm a veteran advocate.
Yeah.
I don't care where somebody is, what their issue is. I will take my time. I mean, even just sitting here waiting to start the show, you had neighbors come in and stuff, and they're talking.
Yeah, I was listening,
They
yeah.
found a guy that across the street, homeless, whatnot. I'm like, look, here's my card. If you come across him again, give him my card. Tell him to call me.
Patrick over here
Yeah.
did a great job communicating with the gentleman that
Yeah.
was there who went
So-
from a psychotic break to a reality.
Yeah, so that's the thing. So, here's my
there.
info.
Yeah.
You call me. I answer my phone. I've had the
That's
same,
usually what you
my
need.
personal number. I've had the same number for 21 years now. I will answer at any time of day. My wife's used to it. I get up in the middle of the night, or most times if I'm not sleeping, I literally just grab my phone, walk out into the living room, another room, answer the phone call, help whoever I can, make phone calls to whoever I have to at the time.
Wow.
So that's,
You're a good person.
I try to not be an asshole.
And again, he is part of an amazing. He's a powerhouse.
Yeah.
Out of the network that I've seen,
What are you going to say? He's a part of an amazing team? There
part
are
of an
others
amazing
around
network.
him?
No, so
network in
Network.
general.
No, it's not even the network. So the thing that I say about military and veterans and stuff like that is we are the most functional, dysfunctional family you will ever come across. I don't
like
care
that,
what your
yeah.
creed, your religion, your
Beautiful
race,
disaster.
your anything. If you served, we're all one.
Yeah.
So we're all taking care of one another, and it doesn't matter where you are. I mean, I have people that I serve with that are all over the country and all over the world. And if they need something or they can't sleep, I mean, that's the thing you look at like Facebook now is like, I have more people on my Facebook that people that I served with or buddies served with, my brother who's also in the military served with. They call, hey, I've got this issue going on. I just either need to vent or can you offer what is the solution that I need to help to unfuck myself?
Yeah.
And that's what we do.
So what? Let's go back even further. What is it that actually initially led you to being in the military? Like, where did that come from? Was it a family thing?
So part of family stuff. My great grandfather was a pilot during World War II with a unit called the Flying Tigers. Still to date, the most decorated aviation unit in military history. Both of my grandfathers were in the Marine Corps. One was a pilot, another was artillery. Then graduating high school, I was like, what am I going to do? I don't want to go to college. I wasn't the book kid. I never was.
I wasn't a book kid.
Like, I do good with
big
pictures.
in the books, yeah.
So, yeah, I like picture
No
books.
truth to that whatsoever. I've read a book before, but yeah.
So that's the thing. So I was like, what do I want to do?
I'll be that guy for
I'm not
now.
going to go work on Wall Street or something like that or go, and the military drew into me. I'm very hands-on. Like, even I went to tech school for high school. I went to North Shore Tech, which joined with Essex Aggie. Like, my older two kids are there now for
My
students.
daughter wants to go there.
So my daughter's my daughter's a junior there in carpentry now. My son's in there as a sophomore. Service dog program. They train service dogs, which is awesome. Or companion animals. But like when we went to look with like my daughter when she was in 8th grade, my high school shop teacher still worked there teaching graphic arts and printing and stuff. And then my son, when he interviewed, the guy that interviewed him was a kid I went to high school with. And it's like, you kind of that same idea is that mentality. So you have people that are hands-on, and the military was a place that drew me into being able to be hands-on, to be able to, you can train anybody no matter how they learn, whether they're visual, auditory, they have to read, or those hands-on people that they all can do the same job no matter the thing. So they'll work with anybody to make it so you're part of this team. And that's what drew me into it, especially because my family did it, but then it just appealed. And, there's so few, there's less than 1% of the population joins the military. So being part of that exclusive group of people is pretty, I love it. It's badass.
Yeah, you
it's
love it. It's your family. You weren't
Yeah.
like driven by guns and going out into the world,
that
and you
wasn't
were
it.
like,
I just
there's
wanna
some
help other people.
camaraderie here.
Yep.
And the way that you perceive it is you're out there doing something to help people.
Yeah,
and that's what you want to do.
Absolutely. I mean,
You're
I remember
serving.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I remember
serving.
coming back and I went to
Respect
Westover
that.
Air Force Base in Chicopee, Mass, and was starting to look at taking classes at UMass Amherst. And I went to enroll for classes in my camis and
In my camis.
in my cam, in my uniform. I went up to UMass to apply for classes, and I had this group of women stop me, and they're like, "You're a baby killer. You're this." And I was like, "This isn't Vietnam." I'm like, "Hold on," like, and I didn't get mad. I was like, "What is your hatred coming from?" And they're like, "You're doing all this," and I said, "Oh, like." I'm reading their papers, and it's about feminism. They had posters. They were doing something, and I don't honestly remember what it was. But I was like, do you understand, like, the fact that we've done more for women's rights by stepping into Iraq and Afghanistan? Like, women in the Middle East, you're fully covered head to toe. You don't get a job. You don't get to drive. You don't get to go to school. You don't get to have any resemblance of freedom. You are there to procreate and serve. And so we go and do that, and I was like, that's why we're there. We're not there. It's not oil-driven. It's not money makers for us. Like, the higher ups, and when you get into the politician side of it, that's where they get that. But the people that are on the ground or going into the military are doing it to help other human beings.
So you're
That
feeling
boots on the ground,
Yeah.
like it, right? People don't realize that going through every village, and like you create relationships with these people, and they recognize the help, or sometimes they don't. They're scared. They're whatever else it is.
Yeah.
It's got to be terrifying. The
Yeah.
whole on everybody's.
We even have, like, so politicians, you talk about politicians and their hatred or whatnot. Like, Seth Moulton is a congressman here in Massachusetts. I don't look at the political side of things. Seth is an Army infantry or Marine infantry officer. But one of the first things he did when he got back stateside, his unit's interpreter that risked his life and his family's life to help them to be able to understand the locals, help to find the traps, help to find the IEDs. He got his family out of the country, and they're living here in Massachusetts, so that way their family can prosper the way that so many of our families have come. Like, my family's straight off the boat from Ireland. My grandmother, stuff like that on my dad's side. So they did that because they came over back in the 30s. They bought a ticket on a boat and came over and went through Ellis Island. Like, you don't have that anymore. You have illegal immigration. You have immigration that's you pay to become a citizen.
A lot.
But then you have these people that served with Americans in Iraq and Afghanistan that gave up literally they could be killed for helping because they're going against their own, sometimes family members.
Right.
So to be able to help them, you look at that human aspect of it, and it's not a political thing. It's I'm doing the right thing for the person that was my brother in over there, whether we're the same color or whatnot, speak the same language. They're literally giving up their life to help those around them by helping us make them in a better situation, but then rewarding that by getting them out of there so they weren't then just killed.
So this was something that you were personally dealing with?
So this one wasn't. So this was just one. So Seth Moulton's from
Seth
Swampscott.
Moulton,
Yeah.
So,
Okay,
but his
okay.
interpreter, like,
I got lost there for a second too. Sorry about that.
sorry. So yeah, so
It's
this
a
was
beautiful story.
But
That's why it was easy to
this
get
is what you're
lost.
looking at is you look at these people that they're boots on the ground, and that's the thing. Like Eli was saying, is you look at that mentality is they're not the ones that are going to win the wars and. You know, everyone said Iraq was for oil prices and stuff like that. Afghanistan
While you're
was
actually out there, boots on the ground in the situation,
like
in your moments, you are doing good things.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what you're doing.
Okay.
You want to make sure that the brother and sister that are your left and right that are going through the same shit as you are coming home.
Yeah.
So that you just explained what before we went live, what I was talking about is that I came from not quite that extreme of a place. I'm pretty even keeled when it comes, but when Rob tossed me into this role, right? And there was a VSO in Haverhill. Her name was I can't remember. I'm ashamed for not remembering her because she changed my world. We're not all the same is all she told me.
Yeah.
And we're human beings. And it instantly triggered all of the human being part, right? Not my ideal of policies and world peace and all of those things and how we spend our money and our resources, all of those things were no longer the focus.
No.
And now it was these human beings that needed the same kind of help of people that I do. Like, homelessness is a huge thing for me anyway. And so, and a lot of my reasoning behind when we first took VNOC on was that by VNOC helping vets out of the system, that frees up civilian pop in these other services. So it's kind of like this chain. The vets move into the services that they need, and then these people here can have the services they need. And so, but that's how I came into it. And it's been amazing. It's been, to learn about, the relationship between Donnie Jarvis and Jeremiah in Amesbury, all of these different folks that work tirelessly. That's the only way to describe it.
Oh, yeah.
Man. I'm a busy dude.
Yeah.
I am nothing.
Well,
nothing, and these guys keep it.
Something I'm curious about, and I think a lot goes into what VNOC does, and sort of you at the age you are for being a veteran, and how society's changed in terms of like. And this is a positive thing of how accepting it is in terms of mental health.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's been there for a long time. Like, I know even my grandfather that was a prisoner of war, when he came back, he got sent away for like a month in upstate New York, but then just got thrown into society. And so obviously we've come a long way, but like, I definitely feel like in the last like 10, 15 years, I mean, I could be a little wrong, but and this is overall society, like even like my daughter that just enjoys going to therapy and that sort of thing, and clearly on a veteran's end, who has many of them have no problems like reaching out for help and needing that help and talking about it and things like that.
If they find the right person, that's half the thing. Is you can find somebody that, oh yeah, I'm a therapist, or I work for the VA or social workers, whatever. If you have somebody that comes from the situation, like there's an organization, the Vet Centers, that nationally, they are VA funded, but it's peer-to-peer support. So like there's the Vet Centers here in Lowell. Tiff Ferguson is one of their outreach people. She's amazing. She's military, Army, married to Army as well. Her big boss now, Rich Barbado, he was 82nd Armory. He's a local as well, but he's now working down in D.C. for the Vet Centers, helping with policy. But that's the peer-to-peer support. So when you're going into the Vet Centers, you're talking to somebody that's been in your boots. So that's the thing. So you'll come into civilians that they don't understand. But, yeah, they'll understand you being able to talk. The past 10, 15 years, the results of Iraq and Afghanistan of mental health in individuals then getting put out into the civilian population as a result of them being discharged medically or otherwise from the military has changed the way that our society treats mental health illnesses.
Period.
You look at like PTS, so post-traumatic stress.
Wasn't a thing until we learned it from vets.
Yeah. So, but it was like your grandfather. You're saying as a prisoner of war, it was shell shock syndrome. There's
just a different name.
Yeah,
Right.
so many different names that have changed, but it's the same thing. It's post-traumatic stress.
Right.
It's their body's physiological and psychological reactions to the traumas that they're being faced in. But Scott was in a motorcycle accident 15 years ago. You can have PTS
You've got
from motorcycle
sexual
accident,
trauma,
sexual traumas,
domestic violence,
Yep.
Motor vehicle accidents. We in the advocacy community of mental health, we and I hate to say, we owe vets like some sort of weird lip service, but in the cannabis space, right? A lot of the things that we know of in my industry, we utilize the veteran part of that cause, man. It was easier.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
People that won't understand my PTS will certainly understand yours.
Yeah.
Right.
And as soon as that gets put into perspective on where that comes from, now it's trickled down into civilian pop.
Absolutely. And
I hate to say we use you guys like guinea pigs, but
we are, though. That's the thing. We sign our bodies over to the government. We are guinea pigs. Like, that is without a question.
It comes back.
So
we learn a lot from you guys.
And that's the thing. I mean, you literally look at, like, the joke used to be was the NASCAR racing industry helped to find better technologies for even automotive,
Yes,
so
right, yeah.
that same thing. So they're guinea pigs. We're guinea pigs in the military. We sign up knowing that we're going to be guinea pigs.
We're going to legalize mushrooms here in a minute, and we're doing it on the back of
In 1 minute, do you have them?
Next minute.
We're doing it on the back of veteran mental health.
Dosing in T-minus 60.
2 hours.
Microdosing was a huge thing with shrooms and with veterans, and to find a way.
Steve Jobs helped with the microdosing thing too.
So,
but again, that the cause of mental health in general, and then the natural forms that I make my living from and believe in to my core. We've put that into the veteran community, and we can utilize that as a different advocate.
Oh yeah,
right. You're advocating for my advocacy. This guy treats this like they're going to understand you treating an issue with cannabis, and it's going to click. And a lot of their defense mechanisms are down already, and that makes it so much easier for civilian pauper society to really sink those messages in.
No, it's the veteran angle, and I hate to call it an angle, but people working to care for such a concentrated society, such as veteran population, where a lot of people have the same forms or similar issues, whether mental health, physical, whatnot. So you have this concentration of them, and this works to do it. So people will give a little bit of compassion to the veteran title, which then allows other actions, other areas of the industry to latch on and be like, look, if it's working for them, it'll work for the woman that was sexual harassed or abused by her ex or whatever, or, a guy that was
motorcycle accident.
Yeah, any type of accident, things like that. And it's there.
And if we're going to talk about like the angle, it helps with getting bills passed too, right?
Yes.
Because people sympathize with that. That's like a no argument type of thing when it gets put in front of Congress or whoever it might be. It's like, okay.
Somebody that's argued this point.
Yep.
Shit. I've given lip service to your topic.
Yep.
Right, I hate that now.
Yeah.
It's so that I've worked so closely with veterans now.
That's the thing.
I see people going. They have these set spiels about the veteran thing, and I'm like, can you just get in there and get your hands dirty, right? And it's usually politicians I'm talking to, and talking about these things, or even people that we're just talking politics, or we're talking policy in general. And I've seen it in my industry. I've seen lip service, and I've seen folks that really mean it. And the focus and the light has to be, because it's not. You guys have been in Haverhill for 35 years. I cannot tell you how many people that I run across that have no idea, and it's because you're not on the news. You're not out there, at Salvation, doing the Salvation Army thing, right?
Nope. We're putting all of our energy into helping veterans.
Into doing
That's
the work.
literally
Absolutely.
Is there a specific number that you can say that you, out of your location in Haverhill, Massachusetts, number of humans, veterans that you assist within each year? Is it 12? Is it 240?
It's a lot more than 12.
They
Like
have
you have impacted the lives of how many? I want just a number. No story, a number.
No. So the number that I pay attention to, and we were talking about it a couple weeks ago, is how many people in the last 10 years have had to come back for our services? And it's like less than 15. That's the numbers, because we've gotten people that are on their feet. And you don't have to come in. We can, even if I'm pointing you in the right direction to somebody that I've got a job, but I can't.
But was there 100 people that came through there over the course of the 10 years, or was there 20,000 people that came through there? Give me some kind of numerical
I bet you there's been a lot of
here.
growth, right? The more accessible you become, the more what I was just talking about earlier in terms of it's, there's more comfort within a veteran now being okay with it, right? Like then. So you guys have probably gone through like its own growth and like whether it's adding a facility in Newburyport or whatever.
Yeah. So I mean, our like Newburyport, it's housing. So we have houses in different areas: Westford, Chelmsford, Haverhill, Newburyport. Scott's helping to redo our flyer for that, so he's actually got around to take pictures of them.
Well,
some of them.
Well, some of them, and then like our CEO is on. He's caught up in your bug, and he bought a property and donated it back to VNOC.
Wow. That's so sweet.
So they have 6 facilities in the Haverhill area. They have another facility in Newburyport. I know that
we're
we
in
plow.
Chelmsford, Westford.
It's part of Rob's plow route. I've never seen
So
those
we've
facilities.
had we had an office that was in Salem, New Hampshire a couple years ago. COVID, we had to close that one. We had in Marlboro that we had to close that one. Unfortunately, we don't have the ability to go there. So anybody can come from any of the areas, and we work Middlesex, Essex County, and Barnstable County. We have somebody down the Cape that works the Cape area for the Cape and Islands. But your number, it's, I mean, a few thousand in the last year, couple of years that we're helping these people.
Okay.
CNA, we do a food pantry every Thursday from 10 to 2. CNA sends a couple workers every week that volunteer to come help hand out at our food pantry. And these are people that, like, they know our veterans that are there like week to week. It's a group, maybe 60 to 80 vets a week that come every Thursday.
They're not just veterans. You've got some widows. You've got some widows. Veteran widows that come for a food pantry.
Yep.
You have the food pantry at CNA?
No. We have it at VNOC and at Reed Street in Haverhill.
We did have it at CNA.
We were closed for a couple months too.
Well, we had it long before that. We had it during the pandemic. We got 17,000 cases of food.
Yep.
And
17,000 cases of food.
So Donnie used to.
And now where we grow, we delivered 17,000 cases.
Yep. Donnie would get it and he'd bring it up to I'd meet him in New Hampshire, because living in New Hampshire, we didn't have, like, we don't have the veteran services in New Hampshire that we do in Massachusetts, because we don't have a veteran service officer in every town because it's not funded. The one thing about New Hampshire is you don't pay a lot of taxes, so you don't get a lot of benefits from the state because there's no money to fund it. So veterans, up until a couple of years ago, had almost no services, and Chris Sununu passed some bills that gave some funding to veteran service organizations, which has allowed it to reach. But during the pandemic, we had nothing. So there, you would have Mass Fallen Heroes Foundation that would, down at Gillette Stadium, pack together food boxes, and Donnie would load up his truck and van and whatever he could get. And I'd be like, look, can I get like 10 of those? I've got elderly veterans up here that definitely can't get out because they're high risk for COVID, things like this going through the middle of it. I need, like, can I just get 10? And Donnie would be like, go meet this guy out there with as many trucks as you want, and he will load you, and you can bring it. So we started bringing, we had
U-Haul trucks showing up
every other week. We'd have like U-Haul trucks, and we'd have everything show up.
We had the World War II veteran and his wife.
Yep.
Yeah.
We'd just show up in the Buick.
Yeah.
And we'd load up 2 boxes in the back of that too. It was the pandemic did a lot, and that's really why we stepped up. And it's not. Well, I'm not trying to be cool. It's just.
But you are wicked cool.
Look at you. I work with some really cool people that really have a lot of heart and soul.
Take that back. You're not that cool. Carry on.
I got a job to do, man.
You are super average. What do you have to say from your
the funding
middle of the road,
I'll take
mundane human? No.
The pandemic.
You grab one for Scott here.
Grab one for Scott. Yeah.
The pandemic really put a serious hurt on a lot of nonprofits, but theirs specifically.
Yep.
And
we had
not
people that
yours.
weren't-
People
that
are
weren't
burning
getting
more
out
weed
to-
than they ever were.
Well,
Right?
I'm not a nonprofit.
Yeah, so
I'm a for-profit business, right? Where you come and buy weed, and we're gonna build a cultivation site. We're gonna sell more weed, and we're gonna pass this down generations. And
You just made-
we're gonna do a bunch of cool stuff
You just
in the
made me think of
neighborhood.
something funny. Like I used to make money to buy weed, but
No,
if my job is selling weed to buy more weed, like I don't. That's
pretty much it.
You have the perfect
now you
life.
get weed with an employee discount.
Right. So what do I do with all this money now? I get the weed.
And I've got it. My CEO and founder gave me an objective 6 months ago that if this man calls, give him the help he needs.
Yeah.
Go take photos. Go be at this event. Help him build a new flyer. Take whatever he needs. Throw an event. Set up some things, right? And I am a better human being for that conversation with John Ford at our conference table, the one that I was scared to death to have.
Wow.
Here we are
No,
yes,
it's understanding.
that is true.
Yeah, the
but
cannabis come together is what made it better. You know, a little bit of education goes a long way, and it doesn't matter what the topic
so
is.
their whole staff, I've gone in there any day of the week, and half their staff is wearing CNA shirts.
Yep.
Nice.
Oh yeah,
And that
Tank's got a CNA bandana he was wearing.
Look
the other day,
at that.
that means the world to me as a cannabis advocate, right, is that this organization of 35 years that does all of this killer work day and night tirelessly has a respect for the company that I work for. So that's a huge...
And therefore the industry, because you're
therefore-
saying something by wearing this shirt.
I mean, that's
You're
a great
basically
partnership
saying,
you
I
guys
use
have going on,
cannabis.
for sure.
Oh, it absolutely is. I mean, that it's the money aspect is one thing. Like they say this, like the thing that hits the hardest is you guys are at 700 hours of community service and philanthropy so far this year.
Yeah.
You can't pay for that.
Right.
We're 1,460 since our...
Well, you
our
said
state.
700 earlier today. So
1,400
I think for this year so far to date, maybe.
I'm
Okay,
sorry,
Scott,
no,
we
no.
get it. You're awesome.
We're
Yes.
1,960.
Scott,
So,
no. There you go.
All right.
So, the
Next
reason why-
week is 2,800
So
hours.
the
All right,
reason
anything
why
else?
you-
Like,
The reason why
Again,
I say that is because
how incredible.
that's the difference between lip service
yeah.
and doing it.
But no, the thing
And
is,
so any of us out there that have either the homeless conversation or the veteran conversation, and that's all it is a talking point, and you're loud and proud about it, boots on the ground and then talk.
yeah.
Let's
I mean,
go.
the fact, so they have, the core group of people that are there every week, day in, day out for our food pantry from CNA, and then a couple stragglers will come in when they get the time, depending on their schedules. But when I have a group of veterans walk in and somebody from CNA, like Matt especially, Matt's huge on it, and Matt's their IT guy, so he's like hold off back in he's over at cultivation now, right?
Yeah, he's a vet.
So he's like he's
military guy, too.
he's guy. And
He's got his own.
he will sit there and talk with our vets and be like, hey, you weren't here last week. Is everything going okay with whatever this medical thing is that you have? Or, is your wife good because we haven't seen her here?
And then you got
They're
Adam.
Adam's the
Adam's
whole totally
awesome.
does beast.
He's another veteran that
amazing.
works for us. So my point is that I wasn't part of this group.
Yeah.
And now you
until
are.
we've
Look at
started
you.
CNA
Yeah.
stores, and I get this magic of these people that are doing this stuff for the real reasons. Like,
Yeah.
I get to promote our company, and we get to do it the right way. These folks are, and I do for you for the right reasons as well.
Mm-hmm.
But the reasons that you and Donnie and Jeremiah do the things that you do at every hour of the day is completely different.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm a better human being
Absolutely
for knowing
different,
that network
yeah.
of people.
It's just
real.
we're taking care of, like, I literally want if if I was to drop dead because of whatever health shit I've got going on
wish you
tomorrow.
wouldn't say
Yeah,
shit
yeah,
like
I know you hate it, whatever. But so if it were to happen, my wife goes to somebody, my husband passed away, and she doesn't have to worry about my burial because my burial is taken care of. I'll go to the New Hampshire Veterans Cemetery and be buried there with brother and sisters that are veterans, and it's hallowed ground. She's got that taken care of. She's got a group of people that will be like, all right, what do you need for food? What does your family need for support? Without thinking of what they have to do. Oh, I have a doctor's appointment, or I have, I was going to go get my nails done. Like, nothing else matters. You're literally there to take care of one another. Like, I just got an email while we're waiting. There's a veteran that passed away in New Hampshire. I, with the Slingshot in April, actually is the state treasurer for New Hampshire Patriot Guard Riders. We're another small organization that we will accompanied veterans to the state cemetery, so that way they're buried with people that are there to respect them. Yeah. So there's a mission tomorrow at 12 to go to Bosquen. So that's what I'm going to be doing tomorrow. I'll go to the food pantry in the morning, duck out, go to that, and then come back to work. So that's
amazing.
Entirely.
Yeah, I believe that.
When, where it is, and we're just going to do it.
Let's assume that there's somebody out there that's watching this that is either a veteran or is somebody that is a friend of or associated in some way, and
or needs a place to put 10 grand at the end of the year for
donations too are a huge thing too. So
hold on.
Yeah.
That they think they have an individual that you could assist. Mm-hmm. How do they go about connecting with you? I know you're saying website. To a lot of people, going to a website is not realistic.
Yeah, websites. Yeah. You can literally Google VNOC, VNEOC. We have a Facebook page, VNOC, Veterans Northeast Outreach Centers there.
Is there a phone number, or can you pull up to the door?
We have a phone number.
And people just walk in?
You
can
walk
somebody
in our door.
take somebody
We're open
there?
Monday through Friday, 8 to 4.
Yeah.
The phone number,
I'm going to find it for you.
It's 978-372-3626.
It is.
But I don't need you to find it for me.
Look at that.
So
He was disgusted.
I give it out all the time because that's the thing.
Dude, I thought for sure he forgot it.
No, I don't.
I would put money that he was beating around the damn bush about that phone number because he couldn't remember.
You read it wrong.
I was trying to be helpful, brother.
I know you were, but I got it. Thanks. So you can call us, and right now,
what's the phone number one more time?
978-372-3626.
Yeah.
VNOC.org or VNOCforvets.org. Our website, VNOC.org, will feed into VNOC for Vets.
Yeah.
And then Facebook, Veterans Northeast Outreach Center. Or if you're anywhere in Massachusetts, you can go to a veteran service officer, be like, look, I'm having these issues. We're not the only organization in Massachusetts that does the job, but we're all linked to one another. So if I have a vet that's
You're not in that world, you're not like trying to, let's get him to come to our place. Your ultimate goal here is this is a big family.
How do you compete when you're trying to help people?
This is what I'm trying to get across to the world here, right?
There are organizations that are out there that think this is a competition.
Yeah.
It's not.
No.
If we can help a vet, I don't care who's getting the praise for doing it. I just want that guy or woman not on the street. I don't want them
And you
dead.
made that clear with the way you were answering my questions about what happens when there isn't this option. We'll call these people, then I'll call this person over here, or I'll call this.
I don't tell people
you
no.
care. You have
say,
this thing in you that makes you care.
Yeah.
One, and then it's specific to the world of veterans because you've lived that.
Yeah. So that's the thing is I have this experience, this lived experience.
Still living because of that kindness.
You're a nice guy.
And also just knowing that there, like, there's the other side. Like there's like the light at the end of the tunnel, and this being depressed in that, because I'm sure when you're in that state, like you don't feel that way. You feel like it's the end of the world, and to kind of be like, no, help. I mean, helps.
You look
and
help
like,
helps.
we're here to assist you and to.
So you look at the veteran suicide. Everyone, the magic number for years has been 22 veterans a day commit suicide. Those numbers are so ancient. It's actually on average about 56 veterans a day in the United States.
56?
Yeah, 56 veterans a day are committing suicide.
That's true, Dale.
So, and a lot of that are people that are lost, people that are homeless, people that are struggling from addiction. They're struggling from their own mental health and demons. And there is help out there, so you don't have to do it. Where our main goal is not the suicide prevention, it's the getting there before you ever get to that point.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the time is if we can help. My main goal that I see with our organization is we are about helping individuals and families find their ability to be self-sustaining. Like if you can take care of yourself, you can take care of your family. And you can't take care of your family until you take care of yourself. Right. I know that as a parent. I get sick. I have run out of energy. I got a 2.5-year-old daughter that like just asks the world, and I'm like, all right. And there are times where like I have to look at my wife and be like, I don't have the bandwidth right now.
Yeah.
But let me rest up so that way I am there when she needs me the next time. And it kills me because I don't want to tell her no. I hate telling people no, no matter what it is. My closest that I get to know is I don't have the ability right now, but X, Y, and Z does. So we're going to do a warm handoff. You're going to do there. But I'm also going to follow up with you.
Yeah.
And I'm also going to follow up with this organization to make sure that, A, you're following through with yourself, but also they're keeping their word and doing what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is it's just this network. So that's the whole thing of the veteran advocacy, of me being a veteran advocate, is just continuing to do that follow through and be present.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Well, it's good to know that you and other people like you are out there in the world doing good for the sake of doing good.
yes.
You want to help people.
It's not,
and I'm just trying to remind the world of this, that there are people that actually care. They're all around you. They don't get to shine as often, but they're out there and they're doing great things. I love you for it. Yeah.
Unbelievable work.
You guys back there have any questions? Let's
Dale.
get Dale, why don't you come sit in this seat for a second here? Yeah. You look great today.
There you go.
So my question is, the Thursdays that you have
Food
in
pantry.
Haverhill,
Yep.
do you need volunteers or anything for that?
We will always take volunteers
because
for that.
we have the brothers at the lodge
Yes.
that will help
Yep.
if you want to come down.
So yeah,
I'll give you my
reach
phone
out.
number or whatever.
Yep.
We'll touch out.
So
Look at that.
yeah,
It's,
what lodge is that?
Sagahue Lodge. It's Freemasonry.
Located in Haverhill.
In Haverhill.
On
Wow,
or-
right there,
Well,
right
Merrimack,
next door.
yeah.
That's right.
Is it Merrimack? Yeah, because it's off of Washington.
Yeah,
right?
it's right above
Haverhill Meat
Beef.
Company. Yeah.
So, and the other thing is with the
Look
PTSD.
at that.
Yeah.
I know.
The
Right
PTSD.
across, right
Wonderful.
across from the Haverhill Print Cafe.
Wow. I
always
love you
thought-
guys.
Yeah.
Right across the street is the Mason building. Look above the first floor and you'll see the Mason.
Yeah, that whole building is a Masonic building.
Yeah.
And fun
Gorgeous one at
fact,
that.
Fun fact us.
that is the only building in Haverhill that is still standing that was built for its purpose. It was built for Freemasonry, and it's still used to this day for Freemasonry.
That is
See,
pretty cool. I like that.
I'm not sure I could give you that information.
Yeah. I think it's
I gotta make something
I
up
know
real
like
quick.
1860
Yeah, mid
something.
1800s. It's like the architecture's there. You go inside, it's absolutely gorgeous. I'm also a Freemason, different lodge, but had the opportunity to walk through with Christian Courier, one of is he master?
He is the senior warden.
Senior warden. So yeah, they volunteered. VNOC did a car show back in April, and we went out a couple weeks ahead of time looking for volunteers to help out at the car show. And Christian Courier, the senior warden from the Haverhill Lodge, we went and met him like that, and I, greeted another brother and the way that we do, but just sitting there talking and stuff like that. And he's like, "Yeah, do you guys want to see around?" I had a couple people that I work with that aren't Masons, and they're like, "Wow, this is just absolutely amazing." I was like, "You don't understand like the history and the regalia that goes into Freemasonry." And the thing with Freemasons and working with veterans organization is it's good people doing good work for nothing other than doing good work.
Wow.
So
Literally just want to volunteer your time
Yeah.
and make the world a better place.
Yep.
That's like
So you said you had two questions?
Oh,
What's
the other one
second
is just
question?
about it's not a question.
Yeah.
Oh.
The PTSD. I always thought it was, a military thing and all that stuff. But I had a daughter who went through cancer, and I was diagnosed with PTSD. And I didn't know what it was. I went in, I had no idea. I'm like, just feeling this way. I have this going on. And I always thought it was like a military thing. And I was diagnosed, and I'm like, holy cow. I'm like, I just never knew. Like, and you said your motorcycle accident. You don't realize how many people out there.
Trauma affects everybody in different
And it
ways.
just depends what kind of trauma it is,
Yep.
too. It's like, it could be the littlest thing. Like, but
And how PTS, or PTSD, it changed. Like the switch is quick.
Yeah.
It's a short fuse, and it's not who you are.
No, and it ruined a bunch of relationships in my life.
Absolutely.
And I became a different person. I hated
It
myself. I
doesn't
hated
ruin
everybody.
it though. That's the thing, is it puts a damper on it. It doesn't.
Yeah,
because
I mean,
you're diagnosed. You're able to work on yourself.
But I didn't know. I was for years. I didn't
yes,
know.
but then you can be like, look, I have this going on, because you have, especially being a parent with a sick child, the hypervigilism that you have, and the always worrying, and the am I doing the right thing? Did I do something to cause whatever's going on? I mean, like you're saying, like your daughter leukemia, like you don't know what you don't know. So once you're figuring out, you're playing the blame game. You're playing the depressant. Am I going to lose her? Am I going to do this? And it's so traumatizing on the individual human beings that no two people are going to react the same. So you're not going to react the same way that your wife is. And at some point, like, you're going to have that one parent that their mind is going to notice that the other is struggling, and they're like, fuck it, I got to put them first and take care of it. And you have more families that go through issues because of a child being ill from whatever it is, that it a lot of times will destroy a relationship. Yep. So because you're just trying to take care of your kid, because there's no parent that wants to ever experience their child passing away before they do. That's not how the world's supposed to work, right? We're all supposed to live happy life, raise our kids, and then go. So that's part of the thing. And there's been studies that have been done on parents that have children that are going through terminal medical conditions. Yep. Thankfully, your family's on doing better now, hopefully, and your daughter's healthy, like you're saying.
She's healthy. She's 16.
So, and it allows you to be able to kind of like work on your issues, and you get to grow and become
I
finally
finally got the help that I needed. I didn't know it was like that's what was going on, but I'm like, I got to get help. And finally I did, and then my life has changed since I've known.
So.
Like 100%. Like I feel like I'm a better person. Like I know why I react the way I do. I know why I'm doing these things. Before I had no idea.
I always
You just blamed it on working for the post office.
Oh, I blamed it on everything. I blamed it on work. I blamed it on life. I blamed it on everything. I'm like, I couldn't figure it out.
But that's the thing, and it's
Well, or I tell people all the time, we're a nation built on unpacked trauma.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of our ethics, our work ethics, how we treat people, shooting straight from the hip, all of
a lot of us love it.
All of these things that we and I'm not saying that they're all bad, but I'm saying that they all come from a place treatable. And my thing with that is that good, bad, or indifferent, I spent half of a lifetime doing it a way that I shouldn't have.
You didn't know any better.
I had it under control enough. When the accident happened, the control was gone. Yeah. People in town started to notice that I was politics were always hot and heavy, but suddenly I was ready to go. Want to meet downtown?
Ready to go. You're a little psychotic.
You want to have coffee?
Yep. Going in on it.
I was that guy.
Let's meet up.
And my girlfriend noticed it, and my neighbors noticed it, and people in my community noticed it, and finally I noticed it. And yes, that was the exaggerated version of the same PTS that I had experienced half of my life that I thought I had under control, and that I built as my, as all these principles that again, I'm not saying that principles are bad. I'm just saying how you treat your fellow human being. It doesn't matter what your principles are. If you're not treating them with kindness and respect, you're not doing it right. Period.
Yeah,
regardless.
But sometimes even you can treat people with kindness, but like.
Oh yeah,
you don't feel like that person. Like people think, oh, you're a great person, but inside you're like, I don't feel that way.
I mean,
I don't feel that.
As like hallmark as it sounds, is like you don't understand. Like you can look at somebody's book cover, but you don't understand the chapters of their lives. So you don't know what that individual like. You can have somebody where you're arguing with them. We're in Massachusetts, road rage, right?
Yeah.
You don't know what that person in front of you that flipped you off with has been going through with their day.
Right.
So having a little bit of patience, having a little bit of empathy, and a little bit of forgiveness goes a hell of a long way.
It does.
So you don't know. I mean, I expect every person to walk through our door is going to be a shit show mess. And we've got to do everything that we can to make it so that is the last best, like worst day that they had, and everything goes up from there.
Help them clean up their mess.
Yeah,
and that's a lot of times, that's all we, first of all, there's a lot of times we need to realize that we're living in a mess.
Yeah.
And second of all, once we realize it, we're broke down to our weakest point, and now we need honest help.
Yeah. So
right?
I mean,
and it doesn't matter what community we're talking about, whether we're talking about your neighbors or the veteran community or whatever communities that we're talking about. That's what fixes shit.
Yeah.
So I mean, it is, and it's your community, and it doesn't. My veteran community, different neighbors and stuff like that. Your organization, your community, whoever you happen to find around you as an individual, that's going to help bolster you because those are the people that care about you.
Yeah.
So my fact comes from people being in a veteran or serving or the family member of somebody that's done that. I want to get you out of that situation. You can have, a neighbor that never served, stuff like that, and they have a house burned down or something like that. You think of the days like Red Cross shows up, and we're there to give you shelter for the time being. The first people that show up are the firefighters that run into your burning building.
Yeah.
That's your mental health people. That's the people that are there as an individual to help put out the fire. Then organizations like ours or whatever, the other, you have them for domestic abuse survivors. You have it for people going through legal issues. You have organizations. That's the construction crew that's there to help rebuild your house, whether it's your actual physical body or your actual physical house. That's the being rebuilt. And so we're the carpenters behind that as an organization. We're rebuilding you to become that strong
I like your
person
analogy.
you want to be.
Yeah.
And that's how we keep going. So I don't care what I have to do to make it happen. We're going to help you rebuild.
I love it. I love you and your stance on rebuilding and caring. It's been a wealth of knowledge today. And what I've learned is that you're an incredible person and that the veterans Northeast Outreach Center. VNOC is doing a great thing.
They are. I mean, VNOC's been, like Scott says, 35 years and going.
And keep it rolling. Keep it going. I love what you're doing, Scott. I love you being here today,
Thank you for
pulling
having
this
me again.
together.
Yeah.
Happy that I am aware of what's really going on here.
For real, for the circle that I have. And
you are good. You're a good person. Appreciate it. Eli, thank you for being here today.
Nice seeing you.
You
again,
are
too.
wonderful. Phall Roots back there on the switcher. Appreciate it. Dale, I love you. I'm glad you came on this side of the camera. You look fantastic.
I love you.
Yeah. But once again, thank you so much for being here. It's been a wonderful time. Is there anything you would like to sneak in here before we wrap this thing up?
I just remember VNOC. This time of year, I have a wealthy friend.
Good job. Great work.
That plays keyboards with me, and it's the only reason why we.
Yeah.
And he's actually.
We could use a few new cameras. Wealthy friend with the keyboards.
He's the inventor. He's the
Food
inventor.
deliveries throughout the show.
So he's the inventor of touchscreen technology, and he lives up
We
by
need
you
more than
and Lee.
deliveries and cameras,
And
bro.
I said something to him about VNOC.
Yeah.
And that time of year, it was this time of year, and he wrote a check for $10,000 because he needed a place to put tax for his hedge fund thing, and he likes to do
There
this
you
stuff.
go.
So if it's that time of year,
I mean, no, that's the
for
thing,
some
though.
folks,
I mean, that's the tough.
Well, you had to make
that's
the
tough side
decision.
of being a
VNOC, baby.
501c3 is you have people with money that you get so much of a tax write-off for each year if you're in a situation like that. And we are tax write-off. I will write you a tax.
Is it
letter
a tough situation, though? Like, even if the people do not care at all about what you're doing, but they're giving you money, the money's still going to
The
help.
money's going everything.
That's what I'm
It's
saying. You're
like-
still doing yield, same thing.
Yes.
Tirelessly.
So wherever
So
the
could
money's
care
coming
less,
from,
Rick.
half the time I will do stuff and then be like, oh, yeah, how are we paying for this?
so let me
As long as the money's not coming from people that are out there killing veterans or other
Yeah, we
humans,
don't have
etc.
any of that. Yeah,
That's what I'm
nothing like
saying.
that.
So let me
the money's coming
explain
from
the last year.
regular humans here.
Let me explain the last year of VNOC. So
What?
the pandemic hit. They had a flood at the church.
Wait, do you want to talk just this past year? So
I'm just going to talk this past year
So
because we're about
February-
ready.
I was wrapping this up.
We're wrapping this up.
All right?
But my
Dial it
point
in
is,
here a
and
little
let me,
bit.
Let me
Yeah.
finish this.
Yeah.
He already told us he loved us.
They went
Yeah.
through a flood. They lost their director.
Yep.
Mental health.
Yep.
And these people didn't stop.
So-
they just kept trucking. So all of that money will, regardless of what happens to that it will keep veterans.
So-
It'll keep.
I believe
veterans
that.
out.
Talking to this, I see the look in his eye.
We had a water main break February 11th. We had a super cold Saturday night here that was like negative
Yeah.
34-degree wind chill. When they went in, the fire department showed up the 24 hours after the fact because the alarm went off when the water finally reached the meter, the sensor. So we had 4 inches of standing water upstairs in the hall. For, like I said, retired church. Downstairs where all the admin office was 18 inches of standing water over the weekend. Walls destroyed, electricity destroyed, everything. So they gutted the entire building. We had nowhere to work. All our offices were taken. So we went to AmVets on Primrose and Haverhill. They let us use their function hall during the week. So we were there. So we were still seeing veterans. We were still
Right.
making appointments.
You
We were
were
still holding our
displaced.
food pantry. Then we had to go through the rebuilding process. We had a grand reopening on August 4th. That we had members from our community come in to say, hey, we're still here. We've been doing this the whole time, but welcome back into our building. Thankfully, able to maintain all the stained glass windows, so it still has the charm and the history that goes with
It's
when it was St.
gorgeous.
Rita's Church.
Yeah.
But we're able to keep going, and it's because of community members like CNA and their staff that were still showing up to our food pantries on Thursdays while it was at a different location and kept going. Then March 7th, our executive director, who started as a client and became an employee to the executive director, committed suicide. Scott Forbes up in
Scotty Forbes was
So-
amazing. He was he was the same.
yeah.
He was tireless, and
And-
again, regardless of what trauma that they go through, when they did the awards ceremony, there was politicians in the room. There was service people. There were firemen. There were all these statuesque type individuals in the room. But the employees around the whole back half of that church thing were the proudest and stood the tallest out of everybody in the room. The organization is tireless, and they really, it's easy to love.
So, I mean, it's people that are doing the right thing for the right people for the right reasons, and it's to take care of them, not ourselves. But in turn, it does take care of ourselves. I mean, I say it's
Right.
it's
It's
continuing
fulfilling.
therapy for myself, you know?
Exactly.
I mean, and that's the thing is getting help and talking to people is not something that is so archaic of an idea anymore. And that's amazing because it helps get the awareness out there to everyone, whether it's veteran, military, or civilian. Everyone has issues and has the struggles, so we're all there. If my resources can't specifically help you, I still have other resources that I can point you in the right direction. If you're not like when we do those checks where we have a person, hey, are you a veteran? Well, yeah, I am, or I just say I am because I want to get help, but then you're not. I'm not kicking you out the door. I'm gonna be like, all right, I
you're
can't
leading
help
them
you,
in the
but you're
direction
gonna go
where
to
they
this
need the
person, and
assistance.
we're gonna still help you because that's what we do. Because no person needs to be homeless. No person needs to be without a job, without a chance of education. We're just trying to make everyone better. Because our world is a better place when everyone else is better.
I agree with that, and I appreciate your efforts out there. Now I'm really reeling this one in, boys, okay?
I'm
You all right with that?
I promise.
I'm not
I'll
asking
come
if
back
you have
again.
anything
That's
else to
fine. I'll
say.
come back again if you need more.
Because we see what happens there. I love you guys. This is offering something. Big love to our sponsors. Enjoy Your Life brand, Rockport Brewing Company, New Balance sneakers. Thank you to you for watching. Thanks to these people here, beautiful humans. Enjoy everything you do. It's all over. Yeah.